let's go ahead and start then. I am going to have this on replay. So for those of you that are joining for replay, welcome, welcome. I am so excited. I am excited not only to be talking to all of you, but also to let's get rid of all these boxes. Also to be talking a little bit more about what is coming in the near future. I've had a lot of people reaching out, talking about how excited they are and how they've been looking for something like this where we have some kind of program to help everyone kind of learn how to use Google Sheets and Google Looker Studio in the best way possible within the world of education. So wow, of course, I'm using donuts because, as some of you already know, I am a huge fan of donuts. So I had to find donut letters to make sure that it really stood out. At least it stands out to me because, again, I have an addiction. So welcome. So excited. If you have not watched the first video, please go back and watch it. It talks a little bit about how to get our data onto Looker Studio. And it is imperative that you know that before you then move on to this little snippet. I'm going to try to keep it short, only about 15 minutes. But I do have a video that I really want to show you in this little session that we're doing. I will tell you, if you do stick around to the end, I will give you access to the Looker Studio Quick Start Guide, my 3 favorite Google Sheet formulas for beginners, and then I also have a full-length workshop that really goes into detail on the interface of Looker Studio. So if you're looking for a little bit more guidance on that, you'll have access to an additional hour-long workshop. And so like I said before, as a reminder, we went into Looker Studio, we added our data, and we had just very briefly talked about the interface on Looker Studio. So now we are going to take that a step further. So what I'm going to do is actually open up the dashboard. So once you're on Looker Studio, if you remember, we used to have a table here. I just deleted that table, so that's why it looks blank. And there's also something different that I noticed just popped up today, and that's these 2 buttons saying either freeform layout or responsive layout. So like I said, these are brand new buttons. I've said before, they are working on Looker Studio on a regular basis, which is good news for us. That means that it's not going away anytime soon. So it is nice to know that they are putting effort into it. Freeform layout just basically means that it is how it is right now. You just add your visualizations, filters, etc. And what they see is this dashboard right here. Responsive layout means that it's going to adjust the layout depending on what you add to it. So as you can see in that little picture there, if you add more graphs to the right, it will extend to the right. If you add them to the bottom, it will extend to the bottom, etc., etc. I haven't played around with this yet, so we're going to stick to freeform layout. All right. And so it looks like it probably is putting that table right back on there. The tables and graphs also look a little bit different, and that's because they are updating those as well, but everything works the same as what we talked about in the last video. Like I said, I'm going to delete this. I don't really care for this table. All it's doing is telling us how many last names we have or how many rows we have assigned to the last name Mitchell, etc. We're going to be playing with diagnostic results from iReady, but again, you can add any data source. I'm just going to show you how to make a couple graphs and a chart on here. For making any kind of graph or chart, you're going to click on Add a Chart, and we're going to stick to a bar graph first. So I'm going to click on Bar Graph. I am going to create a graph here. And again, it is going to stick to the first column that we have, which is last name, and tell us how many rows are assigned to that particular last name. That's not what we want. So that's when we have to go over to the sidebar. And I'm seeing this black rectangle in the bottom right corner, which is not showing up on my screen. So maybe I'll stop sharing and then share again. See if we can fix that. Nope, still there. All right, that's okay. We can work around it. So we want to change this bar graph. And in order to change what's on that bar graph, remember we have this sidebar and we have it split into two sections. We have setup and style. Setup is what is going to be where you decide what data is going to show. Style is going to be how is it going to show. All right, so what I want to do is go down to dimension. Dimension is how we categorize our data. So right now we're categorizing it by last name. Those are all the last names. Instead, I think I want to categorize it by class teacher. It's either class teacher, there we go, or classes. And so now we have all the data categorized by class teacher. And right now our metric, dimension is how we categorize it. Metric is going to be what are we counting up. Right now we are using record count. Record count isn't a header that I had in this diagnostic data. Record count is added to every data source that you put onto Looker Studio. And it essentially means I want to know how many records have Wilkins as the class teacher. And by records, it means rows. So how many rows have Wilkins in the class teacher column? How many rows have Ball? How many rows have Hill? This column right here doesn't have a name, so that's how many rows do not have a teacher assigned to them. Probably because I randomized this and I only randomized some of the teachers, not all of them. So I want to change this because I don't really care how many rows are assigned to each of those teachers. What I really want to know is what is the average scale score. So you have two ways of changing this. You can either click on it, which is what I just did, and you can see a little bit of the top of that box, but it essentially lists all of the same things it lists over here to the right side. So you can click on it to change it. Let's pull it up a little bit so we can see. There you go. Or you can drag one of these over. So I'm actually going to go up here. I'm going to start typing in scale. I want to know overall scale score. So I'm going to drag that over and replace the record count. When I first replace that metric, it's going to automatically assume that I want the sum, which is what it says there. I'm going to hover over it and click on that pencil and change it to average. So now we have the average scale score for each of those teachers. And we can change several other things about that graph. You can change, again, the style is going to be how does that data look? So what is the bar width? Do you have a legend on there? And if I make this a little bit bigger, you might be able to see it. I think I have it zoomed out. That's okay. You can actually see things. They look a little bit nicer in that style tab when you are not zoomed out as much as I am. But again, lots of different options there. Show data labels is a really nice one too. And I have all kinds of tips on how to set your bar graphs up in a way that makes it easiest for people to read. So I'm not going to get into those now, but there are, I think, a couple of them on the Looker Studio Quick Start Guide. So just beware. There are ways to do it. You can also read the book Storytelling with Data is a great book to read that really goes in depth on how to set up a dashboard or how to set up a graph so that people aren't overwhelmed, or you're lessening that cognitive load when people go to read the graph or the chart. All right, so super easy. We got our first bar graph on there. I'm going to do one more thing, and that is to add a table down below. So I want to show you a really cool trick. So I'm going to add a table, and I just want to know on that table, I'll have class teacher, and then I'm also going to add last name, first name, and I want the scale score, but again, I'm going to do the max scale score that student has earned. So now we have a table with those students. We can adjust all the columns and everything. And then when I go to view this dashboard, and you can do it on the edit screen as well, but I'll show you on the view screen. If I click on, let's say, Gibson, if I click on that bar, then it's only going to show me Gibson students. So it's really cool that you can actually filter the table down below by clicking on the bar graph. That's one of the best tricks that you have on Looker Studio dashboards. In the next session, we're actually going to talk a little bit about how to fix this issue of having the names in two different columns. That kind of creates an issue with sorting because if you want it sorted in true alphabetical order, you have to sort last name and then first name, when really you could just have it all in one column and do last comma first. So we're going to talk about how easy it is to combine these two columns into just one column to help with that sorting issue. And that's all I'm going to show you for Looker Studio today, but I do want to pop over before I give you access to that those freebies. I want to actually pause for just 1 second. I want to actually play this video of an interview that I had with Hope. Hope is someone I've worked with over the past, I think it's been almost 2 years now, maybe a year and a half. And she talks a lot about how Looker Studio has really had an impact on their school district and how they've been using it. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you all. I'm going to pause it for just 1 second because it seems to be buffering a little bit. I just closed a whole bunch of tabs, so maybe that will help. Is the sound coming through? Sound is not coming through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this then on the link to the slides. I'll put the link to the slides in the follow-up email as well. That way you can come in and watch this video because it's so cool to hear about how they're using it for their PLCs, how they have really started to show not only assessment, not only academic behavior or attendance data, but they really go in to show the whole child. So they're pulling in portfolio data, emotional well-being data, and it's just really neat to hear about how much of an impact it's had on how they use data in their district. So I'll make sure I send out that link. Again, first time on YouTube Live, so this is how technology works, right? All right, so let's go back. We only have a couple minutes left anyway, so I really want to focus on the goal here because I think, it's really fun to have all of these different tools and to get really excited about how to use Google Sheets and how to use Google Looker Studio. But the true goal, whenever we're talking about using these tools, is the impact. And there's a reason I have the word impact in the name of my company, Data Informed Impact, because I truly believe that everything I'm doing is for the impact that I have on the students. So then my next question is, how can I increase that impact? Whether that's increasing the number of students I am impacting within my classroom, within the school, within the district, or maybe even outside of the district, which we talked a little bit about in the last video. So what's next? Like I said before, we're going to talk a little bit about creating a blended column on Google Sheets. So that way we have those first names and last names all together. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a Google formula that helps with that. It's a super easy formula, and you actually get a hint as to what it is in the freebies that I'm about to give out. So I would love to hear what you would like to see next. Even if you're watching this on replay, please comment and let me know. If there's some other trick, maybe I can sneak another one in there because that one formula is pretty quick and easy. So maybe we can sneak another trick in there. So if you have a preference, please comment below and let me know. And as a heads up, I am going to be giving away t-shirts in the third video. So if you make it to that third video and I see your name coming across in the chat and you're there the whole time and we're chatting it up and you're asking questions, at the end of that video, it's a YouTube Live again. At the end of that YouTube Live, hopefully you'll be able to see my face this time. I'm going to then give you the directions on how to get a free t-shirt. So if you have any interest in a free t-shirt, then please come to that. I'm only giving it away for the people who come live. And these are the 3 freebies that I promised. So you have that top freebie is Looker Studio Quick Start Guide. The second freebie is going to be your 3 Google Sheet formulas. And that third freebie is going to be that workshop. So go ahead and jot those down. And I will see you all next time. So I made it in 16 minutes. Pretty close to my 15 minutes. We would have been a little bit more over if that video would have worked, but that's okay. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be because I really want to keep this close to 15 minutes. So hope everyone has a great night. Again, we'll be meeting on YouTube Live on the 3rd. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you all there. Replay viewers, make sure you show up live for that free t-shirt. I have plenty of them in stock. So show up and we'll have a good time. It'll be another short one. I'll try to keep it to 15 minutes again. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.